everybody. Welcome back to another episode of God Built This Podcast. I am your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 148. Let's go, Sparta! Okay, that's obviously for a 300 episode, not this one, but I just feel like saying that. Before we even get into, I know I say this all the time. Before we even get into everything, I'm feeling a little delirious right now because I just finished working out. Shout out to me because I did that. I did that shit. I fucking did that shit, and I'm really proud of myself. And now, like usually, I mean, isn't it more typical to feel this euphoria feeling after a workout? I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling actually fatigued. I'm naturally sore, but I think it's just like my body being my body. But anyway, we're pushing through. Here we are. I want to talk about why the fuck it's so hard for me to get up in the morning. That's what I want to start off this episode with. Why is it so hard for Maxine to get up in the morning to go to work? Like, it's to the point where, I mean, do I want a job? Like, the way I be I'll be like literally sloughing out of my bed, like what's the big deal? Who cares if I still have this job or not? Like, the way I be acting in the morning is really ridiculous. So I decided to finally get an alarm clock via Amazon, and that should be coming in the mail within a day, thanks to Prime. And I'm hoping with that alarm clock, my life can change for the better when it comes to my tardiness at work. Like, it's really to the point where I think in my head, I feel like I can get away with it because I've done so in the past several times. Like, I've left my home maybe 15 minutes too late, and yet I made it in the nick of time. But every time I make it in the nick of time, it was like, ooh, grace of God. Ooh, by the grace of God, God came up and came out. But things have certainly changed, since COVID being the thing, and since more schools have been built on the property of the campus that I'm at. Traffic is more intense, and the parking and the entrance and the driving procedures are now more restrictive, meaning there's a certain gate that teachers go through at a certain time. And if you are running late, you cannot access that same gate. You now have to share the entrance gate with these mere civilian parents. Like, ew, peasants. And I have to get in the gate with them. And oftentimes I would just, I could still get in front of the parents and just drive on in. But in times when, like for today, for example, there was not an officer, but somebody who works at the school wearing his green highlighter vest talking about, I still need to go in the back of the line because it doesn't matter if I'm faculty. And mind you, faculty has their own parking permit. It says that at the top of my car, like you could see my little parking permit little thing you put on the windshield, whatever. And he still was like, no, you gotta go in the back, Like, first of all, you're racist. Yes, I'll pull that card when it's convenient. First of all, you're racist. And I'm fucking faculty. Like, I feel like regardless of what time I get in, let me in. Like, stop playing with me, dog. Like, seriously, stop playing with me. Open the gate. Open the gate, nigga. Like, what are we doing? So I ended up having to drive. Well, here's what I did. I drove a little bit towards the long line, but instead of driving all the way to the end, I drove like literally 2, 3, 4 seconds and made a U-turn and cut the person ahead of me. The person didn't honk me, thankfully, and just let me right in. I don't know if the guy even saw me, but I wanted him to see me. I wanted to give him the finger. Oh my God. But like, come on, I gotta be mature. But anyway, I got in the entrance earlier and had to go through a whole different, like I had to go around. It was just, what are we doing? Let me park. Like, make it easy for me. I'm already running late. Make it easy. Like, don't make this even more annoying. Now, because of you, I'm even more late. And no, I get what you're saying. It's only your responsibility. You are the only one accountable. You can't blame everybody else. Sometimes I can. No, sometimes I can and I will, and it is convenient for me to do so, and so it is. You're racist. Okay? I could have just been 5 minutes late, but now I'm 10, 12 minutes late. And now I gotta walk in with an attitude because don't come to me talking about, good morning, Miss Morency. Huh? Now I gotta greet my students at my door because they're waiting for me. Because y'all want to hold me up at the entrance. Let me in. Hello? It's just like, I don't understand. So anyway, all the times that I've gotten away with it was because all of this extraness wasn't a factor back then. But now it is, and I have to really just get my shit. I got to get it together. I really do, because I really don't want to be pulled aside and be talked to about it. I haven't been talked to about it, so that probably just went to my head thinking, oh, So I think that wasn't to my, maybe it was to my benefit, but still, this is a kick to just getting my life in order, and that is what I am committing myself to do. I'm taking everything step by step, day by day, step by step, day by day. Remember that show? That was a good show back in the day. But I bought an alarm clock, and I'm hoping that can change my life for the better. I changed the alarms on my phone, being that I have to leave and wake up early. So I got to put my alarm clock a little earlier. Because, like, my alarm clock will be set 3 times. Does anyone else do this where you have 3 alarm clocks? Because the first one, we're not waking up to the first one. It's going to be a snooze for me. And so that's what it was. So my first alarm clock originally was at 5:10. And then my second one was at 5:15, and the next one was at 5:20. So 5-minute increments. And even though the last alarm clock, 5:20, should still give me enough time to shower, get dressed, get myself in order, pack my lunch, etc., I'm finding myself still in bed, rolling around, hitting the snooze button, thinking I hit the snooze or thinking I have more time, or maybe hoping that I have more time, even though I know I checked my phone and saw that it's now 6:00 and I'm still in bed. But anyway, in my head, what happens is I get to justifying why I should still be in bed. And here's what goes on in my head. I'm thinking, no, I didn't have enough sleep, and my body is not ready to wake up. My body, you guys know I go through frequent physical pain because of whatever's going on with my uterus. I don't even know if it's even endometriosis anymore. Like, I don't really know. I think because what I've learned even more is that there has to be, like, I would have to get surgery again. And this time the surgery will have to be specific to looking for endometriosis cells in my body, in my uterus. And the last time I had surgery, which was a laparoscopy, their intent was not to look for endometriosis cells. So I don't think they came across it, nor was it said to me. Their intent was to simply remove the cyst, which they didn't end up doing because they just deflated it instead, because the size was bigger than they planned for, and they needed my consent to do a bigger job. So they ended up just deflating it, and in that time, nothing of endometriosis came up at that time. What made me think it is endometriosis is a few months ago when I went to a doctor here in Houston, when he checked out my vagina, he alluded, no, he specifically said he sees endometrioma, which is still in the ballpark of endometriosis. And he also said he also said specifically the term chocolate cyst. So when I looked that up, it all boiled down to endometriosis. So I was basically my own doctor. You know how we got to be our own WebMD. I'm a doctor. So that's what I gave myself. And from my research, I found a lot of symptoms in connection to endometriosis. So that's what I concluded for myself, but nothing was necessarily, hand printed, certified from a doctor. So I guess it's not official, but either way, I still have physical pain that I manage and do my best to manage every single day. And in the morning times, I find the pain to be most alarming. If it's more disturbing, it's more interruptive, and I am pissed. In the morning, I'm pissed because I feel like my sleep is disturbed. I can't just naturally wake up early and feel like relieved. I'm usually bothered in the morning because I have an overactive bladder, and once I wake up, I immediately gotta use the bathroom, and then I feel like, oh, because of my overactive bladder, I missed out, like it cheated me from my sleep. So I'm mad. I go to the bathroom, I pee, and usually at that time I wake up naturally at 4:30 or 4 o'clock, and I go to the bathroom, I pee, and then I go back in bed mad because I want to go back to sleep. So I'm mad at my body, and I'm mad that my body is forcing me to wake up because of my overactive bladder, and I just want to go back to sleep. So I go back to sleep, and of course, I'm awakened by my 3 alarm clocks. And so it brings me to the realization that, it doesn't fucking matter, right? Like, I gotta wake up regardless. Like, I'm making these justifications, which does make sense in my head, and though, I don't know, like, even though my boss is clearly aware of what I'm going through as far as what I shared with her, I still have to get the fuck up. Like, I still have to get the fuck up. So my new strategy is to just get the fuck up. Like, I know I'm mad that I didn't get enough sleep I felt like I needed. I still got to get up. So I still have to get the fuck up. I need to do better at sleeping earlier. Last night, I definitely went to bed at 11:30, and that's not okay on a work night. And I'm just going to do better. I have to do better, and I'm just tired of just, like, running to work and either making it in the nick of time or not. Like, I got time for that. And then my first period classes, I feel like I'm not giving them my best, even though, like, I know how to manage under pressure, which is another reason why I still kind of got away with this behavior, because I always do well under pressure. Like, okay, I know I have to refresh my memory on what today's lesson plan is for my first period, but I know how to teach them, and they know how to be taught by me. So anyway, I am doing better. I am going to do better. I'm committing to doing better. I worked out today right after work. I committed myself to do that because I worked out 2 days ago, and I wanted to go back to the gym in 2 days, and I'm happy I did. So it's a good start, and I'm learning to just take everything step by step, day by day. All right. Let's talk about addiction. Okay, so addiction is for everybody. You know how sometimes people think addiction is just for, I don't know, like people from the 80s, people who grew up in New York, in Southside Bronx, black men, or, addiction is only reserved for those people, you're those people. I have come to the realization that addiction is for everybody. Like, I think we're all addicts. And even the term recovering addict is not even enough for me. I used to think that was like, oh, well, you're recovered, right? But here's the thing, it's called recovering, meaning it is an ongoing thing. It's literally step by step. Dave, let's see if I turn this episode and title it Step by Step or Day by Day, because it's really in alignment to that. You have to take everything step by step, day by day, and it's a constant thing. There's no fix. And maybe it's just a mindset thing, that I have to adopt when it comes to addiction, when it comes to like accepting something. I don't know what it is, but I feel like, well, there's no fix. So you're always going to have the problem. And although that's so negative thinking, like so much of a negative way of thinking, I think that's the fucking truth. I think we're all addicts. And okay, I came to this realization because I was looking into what an addictive personality is. I was looking into what does it mean to have an addictive personality? What does it mean to have addictive personality characteristics? And I've come to the realization that whether it's a good addiction, quote unquote, or a bad addiction, quote unquote, it's still addiction nonetheless. Now, I'm saying this because I'm an addict. This sounds like I'm doing coke, right? And I'm definitely saying that sympathetically. But I feel like, not only I feel like, I know that I have addictive tendencies. Now, it's not to the point where, like, every time I come home from work, I'm sniffing something. It's not like that. But I can't even judge anymore. Because when I was younger, I used to judge people as far as, like, how do you become addicted? Like, ugh, like you're trash, you're a bum type of thing. And I never even understood the whole addiction is a disease. I always thought it was a choice. Now, I mean, we could argue about that because I think initially it becomes a choice. But then, now that I'm thinking about addictive personality, it's not even a choice, right? If you may have been born into a family of addicts, your parents struggle with addiction, you're likely to do the same. Now, is that a choice of yours or is that just nature, right? And if that's nature, then that's fucked up, right? Like you got fucked in the process. But anyway, I'm an addict. I'm an addict because I have compulsions, and maybe they're one and the same. I think they're one and the same. I have compulsions, and I'm realizing that I need to do something. I feel like I need to do something and I'm still like unpacking it, but I think it's about just doing something, feeling like if I don't do something, then it's not enough, then I'm not enough, then I'm not doing something enough, I'm not being productive, I'm not accomplishing something, so I have to do something. And I'm impulsive. What's the difference between compulsive and impulsive? I've done a lot of things and still do some things compulsively. So for example, if I'm in the mood to eat Doritos, nacho cheese Doritos, that bag of Doritos, the red bag, I will eat those Doritos for 10 days straight. 10 days straight. Okay? Almost 2 weeks of that, Doritos. And I would think about those Doritos until I eat them for that day. And I will eat them, and I know you're probably laughing, but it's a problem to me because sometimes I feel like I can't stop. And I know the end of the road of this temporary addiction is coming. So I feel like that, okay, it's not too bad. But I think that this, like, when it comes to food addictions, it's not just food, right? So, like, okay, Doritos is an example. And there were times when I would eat Reese's Pieces for 10 days. And I'm saying 10 days has an arbitrary number because it's either been more or less than 10 days. But I would eat a particular item that I am suddenly craving for a specific amount of time, and I would feel this call, this draw towards that. It's the weirdest, like, okay, that's weird, right? So there's that. There was a time when I felt like I needed to get a dog. I felt like I had to get a dog. And I did not, like, I knew the real me. It was funny because there's two me's that's battling each other when I'm in this mindset of addiction. So the one Maxine is saying, oh, I really want this dog, or I really want whatever it is. I really want it. I only want it. I'm only thinking about it. I need to go get it. I'm going to do whatever it is. I don't care how expensive it is. I'm going to get this thing. Period. I don't care how out of the budget it is. I'm going to go get this thing. Then I get the thing, right? Right? I do whatever I need to do to get the thing. I get the thing. The thing is here. And I'm like, oh shit. I don't want this thing. I don't want it. Why did I do that? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now let's talk about the time when I had a dog. Yes, I had a dog, and I actually told myself when this all happened that I wasn't going to share this in the pod. And I don't think I've ever shared I'm trying to think, did I ever share this on the pod? No. But I had a dog, y'all. I had a dog. And I don't want anyone to judge me. Don't even talk about this topic to me after you hear what I'm about to say. Like, I don't even act like you heard this part of this episode. Like, just skip it. But I'm getting this off my chest because I just want this to paint a picture in your mind of why I believe I have an addictive personality or addictive tendencies or compulsions, and like, where does that come from? So I had a dog, like, when was it? Okay, so before the pandemic hit, like a couple of months before it hit, I decided to get a dog. Prior to me actually getting this dog, and I went to an adoption shelter, and I got the dog. Very, like, when I think about that dog, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I still had that dog, who would I be today? Anyway, so what happened? So I got the dog. I'm laughing. Y'all know I laugh for anything. Or whatever. So anyway, so prior to me getting the dog, I was like, I want a dog. I will do anything to get this dog. I need to get the dog. And I would obsessively go through different adoption centers, websites, and scroll through the pages of dogs and animals. At one point, I thought maybe I should get a cat. And I'm like, I don't want the cat jumping around, and I think I may be allergic to cats. So maybe I should get a hypoallergenic cat, which is a Siamese cat. And there are other type of cats that are hypoallergenic, but it was hard for me to find one. But anyway, I ended up like kind of narrowing down the list of animals that I was really interested in. And I would do this like a good 3-4 days. And by the fourth day, I would get that animal. Like, I did that. So I reached out. So, okay, let's talk about the cat part. So I went to different websites, did my research, looked at several YouTube videos, and I was purposely convincing myself. I was convincing myself that I needed this animal. This is my animal. This is my time. That's how I told myself and talked myself into it. So I ended up researching about the animal and reached out to people who had the animal available for me to adopt from, and went as far as contacting and corresponding with the animal owners, and ended up flaking on them, right, on the cat part. And okay, that didn't I didn't end up going with the cat because I realized, okay, I'm a dog girl. I really want to get a dog. And I went through different websites, searched through different adoption centers, look at different pictures, imagine myself with that dog, and stumbled across a dog that I thought was so cute. The dog that I stumbled across was a Dachshund, which is a hot dog. You know those hot dogs? Hot dog. So I ended up getting, I got a Dachshund, very like golden Dachshund from the animal shelter here in Houston, and where I was at. Well, anyway, here in Houston. And so I got the dog. Or prior to me getting the dog, you had to fill out just a form. You had to kind of just prove that you are a stable fit to take this dog home. Prior to me even going to that shelter, I went to another shelter and was looking at other dogs, and there was one dog that I thought was so cute and I just had to have. So I filled out a form, and that you have to be very descriptive in the form and share if you can raise this dog. Like, well, look at what's your schedule like, you know? And at that time, it was before COVID, before the idea of working from home as an educator was a thing. And when they saw my hours and saw that, oh, I get home by 4:30 and I'm out 8, maybe 9 hours out of the day, Monday through Friday, that I'm not the best fit to adopt this dog. This dog needs more attention. This dog needs more time. And if it's just me raising this dog, then this is not the dog for me. So I was deemed unqualified for that dog. And that was like a really hard, not hard process, but like as far as getting accepted, it felt like a whole like ridiculous program. But look, I get it. Retrospectively, I get it. But anyway, so I ended up going to another shelter. Was looking at the animals live in person. Again, this was before COVID, so you could do that without a mask, without appointments, and you could do that freely. You didn't have to have like any extra procedures or restrictions. So I just was walking through the shelter, looking at the different animals. You could sit with the animal, you could pet the animal. And so I was petting this Dachshund. It's very cute. Oh my gosh, I want this dog. This is the dog that I want. And because it's a shelter, you know, shelters are more affordable as far as adopting a child. Adopting a child. Oh my gosh, adopting a dog. And you just put a fee in. The fee really goes towards the shelter. And the dog, depending on the size of the dog, maybe $75 or $50, whatever. So I ended up paying maybe no more than $200 to get this dog, this Dachshund, this beautiful Dachshund dog. And as soon as I signed the papers, provided the payment, and held the Dachshund in my hand, I panicked. You guys, I don't even know how to even explain it. I'm doing my best, but I panicked. I freaked out. I was internalizing everything, and I was saying to myself, what the fuck why did I do this? Why did I get this dog? Did I really need this dog? Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? And then I was thinking about the fact that I wasn't really honest with my, the people at my apartment, like the front desk people at the apartment, because you have to let them know if you have an animal so that they could put it towards your rent and you pay a little bit more in your rent, etc. So I didn't end up doing that because I was trying to, cheat the system. So I was getting paranoid about that. Like, oh my gosh, what if I get found out that I have this dog? And I was freaking out. Y'all, as soon as the dog was in my hand, as soon as I signed off the adoption papers and paid off the fee within that same day, and I was walking towards my car with this dog that I realized I shouldn't have gotten, I was in my car looking at the dog, and the dog was looking at me. And I thought to myself, what the fuck? Why did I do this? So I'm driving in my car, and the dog, and this is yo my gosh, I think about the dog, I'm like, damn, maybe I could have been a good mom to the dog. Maybe I could have like really lived a life for, like, I don't know. But I was so oh my god, I sound like a piece of shit. No, but listen to me. Hear me out. So anyway, the dog was a young dog, like no more than a year old. And as I'm driving, the dog is like walking towards me, sitting on my lap, like trying to peek through the window. And I didn't know what to do. I was like holding the steering wheel so tightly, and I was so uncomfortable. I felt like there was another beast. That's literally how I described it, and that's how I felt in that moment. I suddenly felt afraid of this living thing, this living animal, this thing suddenly is moving and walking and breathing and has its own mind. And like I was so in my head, and I was freaking out internally. And I remember speaking to my friend who is a dog owner and still is, not like me. But anyway, I was speaking to her, and I was telling her like, yeah, I'm kind of nervous. I don't know if I should do this. I was like feeling all these feelings. And, you know, the stereotype with Aquarius is we are, I guess, commitment phobes. Who knows? The stereotype. But I definitely was fulfilling that stereotype in that moment. I was suddenly feeling this fear of commitment to this dog, and this fear of this commitment to really being the primary owner of the dog. I was feeling all the weight of what it is to be a dog owner, just an animal owner in general, but specifically a dog, right? Like it's a lot of maintenance. It's a lot of upkeep and responsibility and growing and all of that. And I just felt like I can't do this. Like, I can't, what am I doing? I can't do this. And I remember finally arriving home to my first apartment. Again, this is my first adulting experience, living on my own at the time, and paying my own rent, and just like knowing how to manage my finances. And at that time I was still very much fresh into it. And just now, like just recently, the past few months, I have finally gotten a grasp in this whole adulting thing, and it's amazing. And I was talking to one of my friends about that a few days ago, and I was telling her like, I'm so proud of who I've become, because the me in my first year living in Houston, I was scrambling. I was like mentally out of whack, and I was anxious all the time, and I was living off of this scarcity mindset. And now I am in abundance, and I'm so grateful. But anyway, let's go back to Maxine in this scarcity mindset. That's where I was, and I had this dog, and I felt even more in scarcity. I felt like this, I couldn't handle it, right? I can't do it. What am I doing? What was I thinking? This is not okay. I was scrambling. So, y'all, I remember the first night with this dog. Oh my God. And I was freaking out. I was really freaking out. And I was sitting I was sitting on my couch, and the dog I was telling him, because it was a boy, to sit, like stay there, stay over there. And I was literally afraid of the dog. Like I had this fear. Oh, I don't know how to explain it. I hope you're understanding. But I had this fear of this dog. As I'm sitting down watching TV or trying to watch TV, this dog was not staying in this dog area that I had set up for him. So I did buy a dog bed and like dog toys, and the dog wasn't staying there. I called him Fitzgerald, so let's just call him Fitzgerald. And I really do like that name, as far as like, yeah, it's a nice name. Anyway, so I was telling Fitzgerald to stay over there, but Fitzgerald always wanted to hop on the couch. And I was just freaking out. Like, look at this thing moving around, and it's alive. I know it sounds crazy saying it out loud, y'all, but this is literally my thought process. I was freaking out. So now it's nighttime. Well, it was already nighttime at that point while I'm watching TV at that time. And I'm wrapping up to go to bed. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, like I'm really freaking out. Like internally, I was having heart palpitations. I was panicking. I was like, how am I going to go to sleep with another living thing in my home? What if this dog attacks me? That was literally my mindset. What if this dog attacks me? What if this dog decides to just jump up on my bed, scratch up my face, eat my nose, and now I am scarred? I'm scarred. I felt like I was under the control of this dog. Y'all, I swear to God, I really felt these feelings and I was thinking these thoughts, and I was so afraid. So I put the dog, so I had a 1-bedroom at the time. I didn't have the studio that I have now. I have a 1-bedroom at the time, and I had the dog stay in the living room in his dog bed, and I closed my door. I was afraid to have the door open or stay open because this living thing is now right outside. And what if the dog just decides to just run up on? I was terrified. So anyway, I had the door open. I had the door closed, and the dog was not staying in his bed. Fitzgerald was scratching my dog door. Fitzgerald was scratching my bedroom door. He was scratching the door, and he was whining, making noises, and I was afraid, actually. I was afraid. I'm gonna wrap up the story because that sounds fucking crazy. But I was like, oh my God. Like, I really felt afraid. So I called my sister at the time, and what's great about my sister is that in times when I feel so, like, overwhelmed and just verklempt and just my emotions are getting the best of me, I call her, and she really helps to bring me down, like in a good way. Like, she helps to calm me down. And so I called her. I told her what happened and how I got this dog. Oh, another reason why I got the dog was prior to the day I got the dog, I was hanging out with friends, and this was like my first few weeks of getting to know the friends who I still have friends now, but this is my first time at the time getting to know them and just kind of finding my way to fit in with the group or whatever. And I felt like I wasn't fitting in or that I wasn't being accepted. I just felt I was in my head again. But there was a moment actually when we went out. I met up with one of my friends and her 2 girlfriends who are, I guess, her closer friends. She knows them she knew them before me, and they clearly have a bond, a much tighter bond, and they had these insiders. Anyway, they ended up joining us, and I didn't know. I just immediately thought that when you invite me out, it's me and you. Like, I'm very exclusive. Like, I feel like if you invite me to happy hour, I'm just thinking is us for happy hour, not us, 2 other friends, and someone coming by later on. Like, too many people. Like, I get overwhelmed. I want to only focus on you. I only want to focus on you and us and our friendship and our relationship. And that's how I look at things anyway. Like, that's why I've never been the girl who had eggs in several baskets. All my eggs was in one basket because I can only focus on one thing. It's really just an anxiety thing. Like, I don't have the mental capacity and the heart capacity to fulfill my love tank with several people. No, you're gonna be the only one. It's it. This is it. This is it. That's it. So anyway, when my friend invited me out, I really thought it was just gonna be me and her. And I ended up seeing 2 other friends who were there. And I'm like, okay. And being that these friends already had a stronger relationship with her, I just naturally felt left out. And there was a point in time when they were talking more so with each other and I was on the other end, and I ended up just having to have conversation with one of the friends' boyfriend who wasn't like hitting on me or anything, but it just ended up being that, okay, well, he's over here on this edge and I'm over here on this edge. How's your drink? Like, it just was one of those things. While these three other girls on my right, one of which is my friend who invited me out, is having this full-blown conversation. They're sharing each other's phones, showing pictures, and I'm over here, okay, like, damn, bitch, why the fuck you even invited me? The fuck? I still remember that moment. I was pissed. I was so upset that I left that outing. I left that outing early, and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling well. I'm just gonna head home. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, bitch, I'm sure. I said that in my head. But I said, yeah, I'm sure. I'm good. And clearly I was upset, but I wasn't brave enough in that moment to really share how I felt. I ended up sharing how I felt afterwards. But anyway, that happened a few days prior to me getting this dog. And that motivated me. That was one of the reasons why I felt motivated to get this dog, because I felt lonely. I felt like, well, I went out with humans. I went out with human friends and I felt lonely. So let me just get a dog instead. Maybe this will quench my loneliness, and maybe this will make me feel better. And I had a horrible experience a few days ago. Maybe this will make me feel better. So anyway, I got that dog a few days later. So yes, it's nighttime. I'm trying to go to sleep. The dog, Fitzgerald is wagging at my door, whining, and I'm up. I'm freaking out. I open the door because I can't go to sleep. And I ended up calling my sister to calm me down. She's telling me it's okay. Like, I'm completely irrational in this moment, but my sister was able to really calm me down. And I was like, yeah, and the dog was like jumping, trying to jump. This is, a Dachshund. They only have but so many legs. Like, their legs are super short. They're very cute dogs. But anyway, the dog was like trying to jump up and come to my bed and lay with me. And again, like I said, you guys, I felt this fear of this dog being close to me as I'm sleeping, because I felt like I'm gonna be eaten. Like, the dog's gonna scratch me up. And I just felt afraid. Like, I felt like, because you know as soon as you move, even though the dog was initially sleeping, as soon as you move, the dog wakes up and the dog is alert. It's like, weren't you just fucking asleep? It's the weirdest thing in the world, but that's how dogs are, and even how some babies are. But anyway, I ended up bringing the dog back to the shelter. If you didn't realize that was the ending, that was. I mean, I didn't leave the dog, at a dumpster like Brenda's baby. I didn't do that, but I brought the dog right back to the same shelter I got it from. I did. And I know I'm probably going to get hate mail. I'm probably getting a hate text. You probably just stop listening at this point. But that was my experience. And I felt the shame. I definitely felt the shame when I entered, because it was literally a day. Y'all, I spent a day with that dog. Not even a day. I guess it was just like 18 hours. But anyway, I brought the dog back. Because I gave myself, I just realized I couldn't do it. I was just so freaked out. So I brought the dog back, et cetera, et cetera. The shame that comes in people's faces when you give up on a dog. I was trying to tell myself, like, look, I know this is fucked up, but look, I think we should be able to say, you know what? Never mind. I think people should be able to say that. Never mind. I thought I wanted this dog, but I didn't, so never mind. Here it is back. Like, I think that should be okay to be said. We should remove judgment. I'm so serious. We should remove judgment. Stop judging people. Stop judging me right now. I know you're judging. I brought the dog back. And I was trying to tell myself and my sister, I was like, look, because my sister was trying to convince me, like, I think you should hold on to the dog, you could learn to love, like, just really trying to amp me up, encourage me. But I was in my head like, I can't do it. I really felt like I couldn't do it. So I gave the dog back up, and I walked out of that animal shelter, and I was like I literally felt like I could breathe again. It was, anyway, I came to the realization at that moment that my anxiety got the best of me, my compulsion got the best of me, and that's what led me to getting this dog. And this addictive thought process came over me that had me thinking I needed to get this fix, right? And when you think of drug addicts, they may think about their drug of choice all day, every day, until they get that drug of choice. And they get it, and I guess in the flip side, the drug addict may feel relieved that they got that sniff, or, whatever the terminology is, but maybe eventually they feel that the guilt finally comes in. In my case, I felt this, okay, there was this excitement, this buildup, this adrenaline that came over me as I finally received what I wanted, or what I thought I wanted at the time. And then once I had it, I was like, oh my gosh, what the fuck did I just do? It's like, if you're a heroin addict and you inserted that needle in your arm, and you feel relieved that you finally got that hit. But once you come down from that high, you realize, damn, what the fuck did I do that for? Like, why am I still piercing my skin with this needle and getting high and killing myself? Anyway, I made that comparison. Now, 2 months later, I got another dog. Compulsion. I'm telling you this to walk you through the mental mindset I had at this point. 2 months later, I got another dog. And when I tell you, I went through literally the same patterns. I was like, oh, I could get a dog. I need a dog. I could do it now, right? I was convincing myself that I could do it. I was overwhelming myself with these obsessive thoughts of this new dog that I know I could get, that I know I could do better in. And I was fucked up for, giving up on myself and on that dog before. I'm going to do better next time. So I get another dog. Oh my God, from another shelter. I got it from another shelter because I didn't want to get judged. Right? And I didn't want them to decline me because, bitch, you just gave up the dog after a day, right? So I ended up getting another dog. This time, this dog is actually, what was it? It was a Chihuahua mix. It was a mix with something. And if you realize, both dogs, the Dachshund and this Chihuahua mix, they're both short-haired dogs. And I believe, had I kept the first dog longer than a day, I would have had the same reaction physically to that dog that I did with the second dog. Now, the second dog I had it for 2 weeks. Okay, so a little bit longer, right? But I ended up giving up on that dog and giving it back to the foster dog parent. But that's who I got it from. It was through the shelter. But I contacted the foster dog mom again to hand the dog back to her. And I ended up having to give her up because I was having an allergic reaction. So this time, the excuse was better, right? But honestly, I felt like that excuse was definitely right on time, because I felt the overwhelming feelings again of, what am I doing? Why did I get this dog? What was I thinking? I did this off of compulsion. I was being impulsive. Oh my, I knew it was just another example of me being out of whack and out of control. And so, though I got the dog and I thought I wanted a dog, I got the dog, I realized I didn't want the dog. I realized this dog is not for me. And at this time, that was when COVID first started. It was at the height or the beginning of the pandemic. And I had this dog thinking like, oh, this is the natural step. You know, people are getting dogs and animals that they never had before because they're feeling lonely and they're at home most of the time. And it's a great time to raise a dog because you're home and you're not away from the dog. Anyway, I ended up getting the dog, and I was realizing I was getting itchy all over, very itchy all over. And I felt like something was crawling on my skin. And even just saying that right now, I'm starting to scratch, because when I tell you my physical body, like my arms are getting itchy. Thankfully, there were no marks on my body, but I was getting itchy and I was scratching nonetheless. And I put two and two together that this is coming from the dog. Ever since I got this dog, I've been scratching my body and just feeling very uncomfortable with my skin. And that was just another reason why I realized, okay, I can't keep this dog. I cannot keep this dog. And another thing I'm going to say, look, go ahead and judge me, judge your mama. What I want to say is, I didn't like this dog. I didn't like this dog. This dog was, I think there's a thing called special needs for dogs. I really do, man. I really do think that's a thing. I think it's a real thing that dogs can be special needs. And I'm not talking about, you know how you have those dogs from ASPCA that, you know, lost a limb and lost an eye, like a dog's been in the war. Like, what the fuck? What happened to your dog, nigga? Where's Peter? What happened to your dog? But, you know, those examples, right? I'm talking about this dog had all its limbs. This dog was retarded. I promise you, this dog was special needs, like slow. Like, if Down syndrome dogs was a thing, I believe this dog had Down syndrome. Like, I didn't sign up for that. The dog foster mom did not tell me this dog had Down syndrome. I promise you I'm a nice person. Anyway, this dog was slow. This dog was so slow. So what I mean is, the dog wasn't like playful and running around and playing catch with me. I threw the ball. The dog just like looked at the ball and sat back down. I'm like, okay. I put the food in the dog bowl, and the dog looked at the food and was like, turn around. Didn't want to eat the food. Okay. I had a dog crate, and I made the dog crate comfortable. And, you know, I put the bed in it. Like, it was, look, if I was a dog, I would sleep in that dog crate. It was a really dope ass dog crate. The dog didn't know to walk into the dog. Like, the dog didn't know how to do dog things. Like, are you a fucking dog or are you a cat? Where are you going? So the dog is just looking at me as I open the dog door, and I'm trying to push the dog into the dog. Like, he literally didn't know how to move his front paw into the dog crate. Like, he didn't know what to do. Like, he didn't know what to do to walk into the door. It was the weirdest thing. And I had to literally pick the dog up, push the dog into the crate for him to understand, this is where you go. This is what you do. The door opens, you walk into it, right? Dog didn't know that. So I'm like, oh my gosh. I opened the dog crate. The dog doesn't know to walk out, right? Doesn't know the motions to walk. Yo, we go walking outside. The dog isn't walking. I swear I got a fish. I swear I was bamboo. I was set up. I promise you I was set up. So this is not even my fault. I had to rehome that dog. I had to. We're walking outside in my pathway in my first apartment at the time. I'm walking outside. Mind you, prior to us even getting outside, I'm putting the leash on the dog, and you would think the dog knows, oh, a leash is being put on me right now. Let me walk up straight. Let me sit up. Let me get up. Let me stand. The dog is like still like crouched over. The dog's eyes is like always looking down. The dog's always looking sad. Now, look, I get it. You're probably thinking the dog's been traumatized. The dog's been through a lot in his previous life. And, prior to him getting you, maybe the dog was abused. Maybe, I get it. My heart goes out to the dog. But look, when the dog door opens, walk in it. Like, can we stop? Like, at the end of the day, the dog knows how to be a dog, right? Like, I get it. You've been traumatized, but, like, naturally, you're a dog. Am I wrong? Naturally, you're a dog. You know how to fucking walk, right? Am I tripping or no? You know how to walk. If I'm putting the leash on your neck, what do? You stand up straight, nigga. What are you doing? The dog is literally still laying down when I'm putting... I was dealing with the fucking reason. I was so annoyed. Like, what the fuck? I got the second dog, and you're making me regret it already. So I'm trying to push myself. I'm like, look, I could do it. And mind you, at the time, I told my sister I got another dog, and she was so mad at me, actually. She was like, why would you do it? Why are you always so impulsive? And it's like, I felt like she was really giving myself, like, just a licking. Like, very much telling me what I didn't want to hear about this dog and how impulsive I was in that moment for even getting another animal 2 months after giving up the first one. I didn't want to hear her tell me whatever she told me, but she was right. In retrospect, she was right. But anyway, I didn't want to hear it at the time, so we got in an argument, didn't speak to her for a few weeks, and I kept the dog because I wanted to prove to her, but to myself, but really to her, that I could do it. I could keep a dog, and I'm good for it. Obviously, I wasn't, and I don't have the dog anymore. But anyway, we went outside. The dog is not walking. I'm trying to walk. The dog is just like it's letting me drag him on his butt as I'm trying to get us to walk. Like, come on, dog. You don't know how to walk. Come on. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me, though. There was one time I left the dog in my apartment. I left the dog in the dog crate, okay? I purposely did that because I'm like, okay, you're not going to be out here in my home walking around like you pay rent. Like, know your place, right? So I left the dog in his dog crate, and I go out for maybe an hour, less than. I come back. I open the door, y'all. The dog goes running. When I tell you the dog jetted, like he was waiting for me to come back. He was waiting for me to return. And as soon as I opened that door, he was like, zip. The dog jetted. I dropped my things, ran out the door. And at that time, I lived on the 3rd floor in that apartment building. And this apartment building style it's the hallway is outside. So basically you're outside, right? You're outside. It's not an enclosed space where my apartment is now, where the hallway is still inside the building. The hallway was outside. And so we're on the 3rd floor. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're outside. The dog runs out the door as I open my front door. I drop my things. I'm like track star Usain Bolting after this dog. The dog didn't end up going down the stairs because thankfully, the only time I'm thankful, this dog was afraid of everything, obviously, from what I experienced with the dog. And he didn't know what to do with the stairs. Like, he didn't know how to go down the stairs. He didn't know how to go up the stairs. The dog was fucking retarded. Like, the dog didn't know anything. So when I ran after the dog, he could have gotten further had he not been afraid of stairs, or if we were on the 1st floor. But thankfully, we're on the 3rd floor, and I was able to catch the dog at the end of the hallway, and I gathered him up, gave him a rude talking, wagged my finger at him, got inside my home, and realized, oh, this dog crate isn't secure at all. Oh, that was lesson 1. And I realized, like, yeah, this isn't the dog for me, dog. But really, what pushed me more, I mean, it was a plethora of reasons, obviously. But really, the fact that I was getting itchy, I was coming over an allergic reaction from this dog, I realized, like, I really can't keep this dog. I don't care how much I'm trying to prove to my sister that I could do it. I can't. I can't. At least not with that dog, right? And I feel like had I kept the first dog anyway, I would have had the same physical reaction because I realized, oh, I'm allergic to short-haired dogs. So I would need to get a dog that is hypoallergenic, right? Like a golden doodle, a Yorkie, a Cavapoo, those type of dogs. But short-haired dogs, like a Dachshund, like a Pit Bull, those dogs, Chihuahua, they leave dander, and the dander fucks up with my allergy. Like, it fucks me up, and I'm like itching. Like, it was a mess. So I decided to go ahead and contact the dog owners, the foster dogs contact, whatever, and schedule the pickup time to return that damn dog back. And honestly, the dog wasn't a dog. I was frustrated because of dog's personality, and I get it. Not every dog's the same. They all have their own personality. Well, that wasn't the one that I wanted. Sorry. I wanted a dog who knew how to be playful. Shit. And now, that's why I don't judge people for shopping and not adopting. You know, people be like, don't shop, adopt. Like, oh, you should only adopt dogs. And look at all the dogs that are in the shelter that needs homes. Like, stop judging people. Like, let people do what the fuck they want. Because honestly, you have dogs in these shelters who came from fucked up homes. And now you gotta undo what's been done to them. Now you gotta show them how to love. And it's like, no. I don't know. Anyway, I gave up that dog. I did. So 2 dogs. I gave up. Now, I do want a dog. I do. I know. It's like, wait, Maxine, how can you still want? I just want the dog for me. And I think I needed to go through those moments to just realize I can be compulsive and I can allow my addictive tendencies to get in the way of rational calls and actions in my life. And those 2 moments was just examples of my addiction getting the best of me. And I feel like if I wasn't anyway, look, I do want a dog, not now, but I bring that up because I'm finding myself right now looking into dogs again, thinking about, oh my gosh, what if I should? Anyway, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fall into it, but that just all comes with self-awareness, right? And when you have an addictive personality or you have addictive tendencies, you have to be self-aware. You have to catch yourself before you wreck yourself. Really, you have to realize, oh, this is the start of another compulsion. Maybe I should stop. Maybe I should pull back. Maybe I should take a break. Maybe I should pray. Maybe I should go to sleep. Like, whatever it is that I need to do to fight against this compulsion is what I need to do. And so that is what I'm doing. Because when I do want to get a dog, but not now. When I do get a dog, I want to get a dog when I get my first house and I have more space. You know, living in a studio apartment on the 22nd floor is not ideal for a dog. And honestly, I do want to share that responsibility with someone. But anyway, I am not with a dog. And I bring that up because, look, I think addiction is something that everyone struggles with as far as just realizing behaviors that are self-destructive, but you don't realize it until it becomes destructive, right? And until you finally become aware and you accept the fact that you can be out of control, that is when change can happen. That is when effective change can happen. So this brings me to the latest episode of And Just Like That. Let's get into it. So I bring up the topic of addiction because I was reading a post on Reddit, of course, and I was reading a specific post about Miranda from And Just Like That, which is the reboot of Sex and the City, in case you don't know. Miranda, and someone made just this amazing theory, or put two and two together, and she made amazing points that Miranda has an addictive personality, and that Shay, who is this non-binary lesbian bisexual character on the show, who is definitely a masculine lesbian, she presents herself as this high for Miranda. She is someone who is exciting. She presents this adrenaline rush for Miranda. And Miranda has a tendency of being addictive and impulsive and compulsive. And this is just another example of her being just that, being and just like that. Now, this post that I read made amazing references in the past of Miranda's behavior. It was Sex and the City. I don't know if it was the movie, the first movie, or the sequel, when Miranda was just like she was face feeding herself chocolate. She couldn't get enough of chocolate. She was eating all the chocolate cake, chocolate cookies, chocolate brownies, everything chocolate. She was eating it all. And she just felt like this insatiable quest or quench, but she could not get enough of chocolate. She was just loving this chocolate so much. And she would just get these days of just eating chocolate, literally eating chocolate, and feeling like she didn't have enough, or she couldn't have enough, or it just wasn't enough for her, whatever it was. And that eventually went away, right? So that was one example. There was the example of her career. So she was a lawyer for a period of time, and she was so fixated on being the best in her law firm, to making partner, to working long hours and getting that validation from work. And she was so addicted to that. She worked long hours. She hardly was home. She wasn't this domesticated girlfriend or wife or mother. She was just this hard worker. Like, she was just this worker. And now, we live in a world where, especially during that time, it's praised to be a workaholic. Like, even that term workaholic is endearing. Like, oh, she's a workaholic. Oh, he's a workaholic. It's so commendable. That's so admirable. But it's really a problem, right? Like, if your work is taking up more of your time than it is towards your family, towards your peace, your self-care, then that's not healthy. And Miranda struggled with that for a long period of time. So you have that. You have her eating chocolate for days on end and not feeling satisfied. She always wanted more. And now you have her like kind of pushing that addictive personality side of her down by deciding to marry Steve and getting into this role of stability. I'm going to be this wife. I'm going to be this mother to our son Brady, and we're going to live this cookie cutter life. But underneath it all, she was unfulfilled. Her thirst wasn't quenched. She wanted more. And in a recent episode of And Just Like That, or a few episodes ago, she was telling Carrie how she feels her life is boring. She hates her life. She literally said, I hate my life. It's boring. I hate my marriage. I hate my life. I hate my job. She was just so overwhelmed with this feeling of dislike. And not just dislike. Like, how sometimes you just like, oh, I'm bored, or, oh, my bored. Like, like it is a fleeting thought, right? Or fleeting feeling. And yet Miranda was succumbed with these feelings and these thoughts about her hating her life and her hating her marriage. And she kept on repeating the fact that she wanted more. I just want more. I want excitement. I want this. I want that. She wants the thrill of something that she just doesn't know what it is until she met Shay. And Shay represents that something, that thrill, that adrenaline rush that she never, or that she hasn't had in a while, that Miranda hasn't had in a while. And so when she finally opened that door to just exploring whatever it is with Shay, she feels this rush. She feels this excitement. When Shay fingered her in Carrie's bathroom, Miranda is just she was so enthralled, you guys. Watching that scene was just a lot, okay? It's still a lot, and it's been weeks since that episode. But watching that moment, we see Miranda being just so impassioned. This passion that she hasn't felt in a while. And at the time, and even now, I chalked it up to, oh, well, she hasn't had sex in her marriage in years, she said. She felt just this desperate need to be touched and loved and, all these things. And so maybe that explains her deciding to go there with Shay. And though that could be in part of it, I also think in part of that is Miranda being this addictive personality type of gal. Like, she is someone who needs this thrill, this fix, and her marriage didn't provide her with that. Her marriage was dull, and there was nothing she could do about it but be with Shay. And so she is now saying that she loves Shay, she's in love with Shay, and she is willing to finally leave her marriage and tell Steve that she's done. Like, she's not happy with his marriage. And though I am in support of that, right? I am in support of her really speaking her speech and really letting it be known that this marriage is unfulfilling and I'm ready to move on. I'm totally, I already talked about it. I'm in favor of that. Don't stay in something just because you've been in something. Like, if you're unfulfilled, then go, right? So I'm in favor of that. I'm looking at it in this lens of, well, is she speaking from a mental perspective of sobriety, right? Like, is she speaking in this mental perspective of sanity? Is she all right? Like, is she rational here? Because she may just be going after this fleeting feeling that will be gone in 3 months maybe. And so was it worth it? Now, I think ultimately yes, because she needed to leave that marriage to finally just not be in it, to really just find whatever it is that can make her happy. But her now being gay for Shay, is that happiness or is that deception? Is that happiness, or is she well? Like, is she okay? Is she well enough to make this judgment call and to really act on just a rationale? Like, when I think about the 2 dogs that I got and gave up, I wasn't in my well mental headspace. I wasn't well. So me making those decisions, I thought I really wanted it and I thought I was going to go for it and really just commit to it. And then boom, I did it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I'm equating it to how Miranda is right now. Miranda is not well. She's not well, and realizing that she has addictive tendencies. This is just another notch in her belt of this adrenaline push and this adrenaline rush to feeling like her thirst is finally being quenched. But maybe 3 months down the line, she's thirsty again. She's fucking thirsty again. So, and I just brought that up because I think it's very interesting how we're all fucking addicts. Like, we're addicts to something. There is something that is addictive to us, right? Or that we're addicted to. So, whether it's social media, whether it's to our job, our career, whether it's to our significant other, or let's look at the good addictions. I think sometimes when we think about addiction, we think like, oh, well, there's no such thing as good addictions. Addiction is bad, right? And I do agree with that, but I think some addictions are painted as good because it's overall healthy, right? Like, what's so bad about going to the gym and taking care of your weight and being mindful of your eating habits? I think the issue with that becoming addiction is that you are never fulfilled. You're never satisfied. I know some people who go to the, well, I don't know someone personally, but this is person that I follow on Instagram who started her fitness journey again after falling behind because of the pandemic and getting some weight, and she was not happy with herself physically. So she decided to make a change and do something about it, which is something I commend, right? If you're not happy about something, do something about it. Go after whatever it is that you need to do to be happy with who you want to become. So she decides to get back into training, lose weight, eat better, and commit to that. So she's been doing that. She's been documenting her fitness journey, and she has been losing the weight. She has been eating healthy. She has been just sharing all of that with us on Instagram, and I've been watching her journey, and it's very inspiring. She looks great. She shows before and after pics, and it's inspirational, right? Like, this is the American dream. You know, you go after what you want and you lose that 35 pounds, right? That looks great. But now, like, she's very well fit. You can see the cuts in her body. Like, she looks thebomb.com. But she keeps posting this image of a woman who is clearly a trainer or a track star, whatever she is, and she's so cut. And she keeps on posting this image of this woman. And she says, this is body goals. This is her body goals. She wants to become this body. She wants her body to become this. And I find that to be problematic. I think that's unhealthy because I'm thinking like, damn, I'm already looking at this woman's body like she looks great already. Like, she already accomplished the goal that she set out for herself. She's already made it to her weight goal, yet she's not happy with it. She's not satisfied. Like, she's not seeing what I'm seeing. And maybe that's fine, right? Like, she doesn't have to see it the way I see it. But I think sometimes when we keep on going after something and we feel like even though, yeah, we met our weight goal, we're still not happy. We're going to keep on going to something else. We're going to keep on moving the goal post. I think that's a problem. I think that's an addiction there. So I feel like there's an addiction being developed here. There's this addiction of going to the gym. I'm at the gym. I made it, rain or shine. And it's like, I think sometimes we conflate commitment with addiction. We conflate, oh, well, you made a commitment 3 times a week and you're going through 3 times a week. And it's like, yeah, of course, that's great. You committed to a goal and you're there at the goal. And the thing about working out, you always have, you got to keep up with it, right? It's a lifestyle. It's not a temporary thing. You may like do it for a few months back to back. You go into the gym every day because you want to meet this weight goal so that when you go on vacation, you look like this, right? That's fine. But I think the way that she was going about it, she was praising this other woman's body, and I felt like she didn't really see her own progress. I felt like she would never finally make it to where she wants to go because it seemed like she was moving the goalposts. And to that, I find to be dangerous. I think with the deception of, oh, it's a good addiction. At least she's looking healthy. At least she is healthier now. I think that deception is addiction nonetheless. And I don't think there is such a thing as a good addiction. Addiction is addiction, because I think ultimately she may still find herself unfulfilling. Maybe she's still not happy with how she looks. Maybe she still sees flab and we don't see flab on her, right? Maybe she's developing a body dysmorphia. Like, it still becomes something. So when I think about the term recovering addict, you're never fixed. And I hate to sound negative about it. I'm not trying to be negative Nancy, but damn, it just is what the fuck it is, right? Like, just how I am now feeling these compulsions to get another dog. It's crazy. Like, no, I don't want a dog. And I had to like literally tell myself, no, I do not want a dog right now. I don't want another living thing aside from my 2 plants. I got 3 now. I got 1 on my balcony. But aside from my 3 plants, I don't want a living thing with me in this home of mine, outside of my man, but like, a walking, living, like outside of like that. I don't want that here in this space that I've created for myself. I don't want that here. And yet I find myself sometimes compulsive in my thoughts. Just the past few days, I've been on Instagram scrolling through different profiles of golden doodles that I eventually do want to get because, they're hypoallergenic. So if I were to get a new dog, those will be the type of dogs I would get, right? And it's like, I get to the point where I can't just look at a picture and say, oh, that's a cute dog. I gotta go to the linked website, look at how much is this dog going for, look at the next litter of dogs, and think about, if this is $1,800, maybe I should just go ahead and use this check to go towards that dog, when it's like, dog, if I were to pay this amount of money for this dog, I absolutely cannot give it back. Right? Like, oh, never mind. I mean, sure, I could find someone to get, look, I'm already thinking of a way out. But the point is, I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to get the dog, pay an exorbitant amount of money for it, because I feel like that would be what I would do. Because ultimately, I would want to shop and not adopt, because I don't want a dog that comes from trauma. I'm sorry. I sorry, master. No, I'm going to get a dog that is new and that is well and that is not from trauma. I don't want a traumatized dog. I'm sorry. If we could choose, right? No one wants a special needs dog. The fuck? Yo, that dog was so, when I tell you, I was lifting the dog's paws and showing the dog how to walk into his dog crate. My God, today, I can't make it up. I can't make this shit up, yo. I really can't. So anyway, it's just an example of compulsion. Like, I think we get into, look, I'm going to speak for myself, but I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I would get into these compulsive thoughts thinking that I cannot do anything if I don't do this. I won't be happy if I don't get this. I won't be well if I don't have this. I only want this, right? I get so fixated on whatever this is that when I get it, what happens? I freak the fuck out because I realize I never wanted this. This was just a moment of panic that I was deceived into thinking I really wanted it. And yet I don't, dog. Like, yo, it's so freaking weird. So anyway, I'm going to get a dog. I'm fucking funny. Shit. So anyway, that's my story of addiction. I think we're all a bunch of addicts. And it's important to be sensitive to everyone's rational or irrational moments. Like, this is why I don't do hard drugs. I really believe that I don't have judgment for people anymore. Like, when I really had an aha moment with myself and like the different tendencies, like when it comes to the food thing, like the different snacks that I would have that I would need to have if I don't have it, like I would eat it for days on ends, with the Reese's, with the Doritos, or whatever it is. And then with the dog thing, I think about like, yo, if I had hard drugs, if I experimented with hard drugs, I would be if I'm talking about addict right now, oh, you wouldn't see an addict like me. Like, yo, I would be so knee deep into it. It'll be a mess. Like, Maxine, who? Because I really think I will go there. Like, I feel this insatiable quench thirst. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, yeah, I praise God. I could be one sniff away. I'm kidding. Let me stop saying that. I'm not speaking that over myself anymore. But I really do believe that. I just feel like, look, I think hard drugs is anyone could be susceptible to it, especially if you are aware of your addictive tendencies. And I think there are some people who are more addictive than others, like who are more susceptible to addictive behaviors. And unfortunately, I recognize myself to be one of those people who's a little bit more addictive. And I just have to keep on being self-aware. And that's what I am so grateful of being. I am so self-aware that I know when I'm in moments of compulsion. I know when I'm in those moments, and I have to actively take myself out of it. I have to actively say, hey, self, you're doing too much. Put the phone down, watch something else, distract yourself, read a book, do something else before I act off of impulse. And so, I'm going to get a dog. It's so funny. I'm kidding. Not right now. All right, let's wrap up with this last story. At least the first story, because I haven't really said anything else. This is the first story and the last story for this episode. Apparently, Jeezy has decided to not give their newborn child a gender. Okay, Jeezy the rapper, not Young Jeezy. What's his full name or his rap name? It's just Jeezy, right? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Jeezy, that nigga who was the dog, who was the man back in the day. At least for me, like I really enjoyed his raps and his like aura. And the guys I grew up with back then loved Jeezy, so I knew a lot about him and his songs and his aura, his persona. Ever since he married Jeannie Mai, this Asian, I think she's Filipino or Vietnamese, one of them. So Jeannie Mai, you guys know her from The Real. He got with her, they got married, and he had a child with her. He has a child with her. And it's funny because Jeannie Mai, she was married before. She said she would never get married again. And that obviously changed when she met Jeezy. And she said she never wanted to have children. She did not want to have a child with her ex-husband. And that was the reason for their divorce, because he wanted children and she adamantly did not. Like, she was very clear about that, and they got a divorce because of that. And it's just funny that she decided to now have a kid with Jeezy, which is fine. Sometimes people be like, I don't want to be in a relationship, I don't want to have kids. It's really, they don't want to have kids with you. Like, it really is just because of you, who they're with. They don't see themselves having a child or being in a relationship or a marriage with you. That with you part is silent, okay, as people say. So that was that example. So anyway, they gave birth to their newborn child, and it hasn't been revealed to the public if it's a boy or a girl. And we're like, or at least people were thinking, okay, do they have a boy? We thought it was a boy because she would wear blue a lot of times, but they didn't have like a gender reveal. They didn't do anything like that. So I just read this post recently, and it says Jeannie Mai Jenkins, which is Jeezy's last name. Jeannie Mai Jenkins and Jeezy are raising their newborn child to be gender fluid. And they believe that this is a choice that their newborn child should make at whatever point, and it is so. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, but what the fuck is the gender here? Like, what is the biology of this child? Like, when the child was born, what did the doctor say? Did the doctor say, you have a boy? You have a girl? I just want to know biologically, what did you have? Can you just answer that for us? Like, scientifically, what did you have? Did you have a boy? Did you have a girl? Which one is it? Just like, can we stop? Can we fucking stop? I think we have to raise children right. We have to raise them with identity. We can't just let them be out in this world lost and confused and whatever it is. Like, I think eventually, if that child decides, hey, look, I identify as something else, then let it be so whenever. But I think it's too early on to decide for your child to just be ever so free and ever so fluid in these streets. Like, no, the child needs order. The child needs structure. We can't let children run everything, and definitely not run their sexuality, gender identity. Like, what am I? What the fuck am I? Like, how are you dressing me? What am I putting on? Like, can we stop? Like, if you want to, maybe your child wants to wear more pink than blue or whatever, then, you decide as a unit what you want to do. But to just immediately have the child and say, hey, we're not even going to give any notice, any care, any ounce of consideration to the biological sex of this child. Instead, we're just going to name the child or just allow the child to be gender fluid. It's asinine to me. I feel like it's not a good start. And I think Jeezy is not Jeezy anymore. We lost Jeezy, y'all. Jeezy is not that nigga anymore. I feel like ever since he got with Jeannie Mai, he just lost his street cred and he lost his soul. I think he's not who he is. I think, how when Gucci Mane came out from prison and he totally looked different. Like, he lost the weight, he lost the belly. Like, he just looked different. And there was a lot of speculation that Gucci Mane was not Gucci Mane, that he was a clone. This could be another case, y'all. This is another case of such. And look, I don't know. This is what happens when you don't date black women. This is what happens when you do not date black women and you don't marry black women and you don't have children with black women. This is what happens. You have a genderless child. Okay? This is what happens. Anyway, I'm going to end it here. Thank you all for listening. Again, you could sound off on any topics that I've shared on this episode by clicking the link in the show description notes. You'll see where to click. Just click that link and you could leave no more than a minute long audio response to any topic that I've covered in this episode. If you want to share your thoughts and opinions, you are welcome to do so respectfully. At that part, respectfully, and I will share that audio on an episode and, speak back to it, and you could be a part of the conversation. So I encourage you all, if you are interested in doing so, I encourage you to do so. You are welcome to do so. Again, check the show notes. It is a link available for you to click on, and you could respond to any topic, sound off on anything that I've covered, or maybe something that you want me to cover. But just leave a audio response of no more than a minute, and I will share that on a future episode. So again, thank you for listening. I appreciate every listen, and I will check in with you guys next time. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.